Monstergirls have been around for a while. A really long while if you count the stuff the Greeks and Norse were doing, which I do, not biased because Harpies, but in popular culture, and specifically game/anime, they really saw a jump in the last decade, and one of the pivotal turning points is Monster Musume. It's not that Monstergirl media didn't exist before Monster Musume, it certainly did. It's more that most of what existed was extremely either pornographic, old, as mentioned before, or just bad. I love MGQ as much as the next red-blooded Monstergirl fan, but let's not pretend like most of the non-KC art in that game isn't terrible. Monster Musume, on the other hand, is a lot cleaner looking, with character designs that, while maybe slightly more on the generic side, are nonetheless more attractive to a wider audience, and certainly has less fucking vor. Monster Musume is a harem, nothing groundbreaking there, nor with the main character. Intentionally so. He is there to be an audience stand-in, and therefore have as little personality as possible. He can cook, gets kicked around by the girls, and will commit manslaughter if you insult his waifu. You know, stuff we all do. The titular Monstergirls, whose everyday life we are here with, is the reason we're all watching. The first of which is Mia, the Lamia. You'll have to forgive the names. When I said 2 paragraphs ago that they err on the more generic side, the worst offender by far is the names. I'm not sure if it's better or worse than calling Dracula's son Alucard, possibly a side grade. The previous train wreck of a paragraph aside, Mia is the first of the girls who will join our hero as part of the new interspecies exchange program that allows monster girls to go live with a human family. The law also states that humans cannot harm the girls whatsoever. It is also clarified that this includes breaking the hymen, providing a convenient reason why our MC will not have sex with any of his harem. Presumably non-virgin monster girls are still a-okay. You may think this law provides a lot of room for exploitation, and it makes monster girls a protected class, but... Sorry, there shouldn't have been a but there. This law provides a lot of room for exploitations, as it makes monster girls a protected class. More on that later, as we're already pushing Mia's introduction into its 3rd paragraph. Mia is a Lamia. Her tail is an erogenous zone, she's mostly cold-blooded. The two go into a love hotel by accident, get heckled by racists, and MC punches them with the force only capable by a serial masturbator. Next. Next is Pappy, whose name is derived from her being a harpy. But this doesn't work unless you slur it horribly. However, I will forgive this all, because bird girls do things to me. Harpies are an all-female race, as is obvious to any philosopher from the feathers. No one's gonna get that joke, that was terrible. She is stated as being the same age as Mia, although what their age is never clarified. They're considered marriageable age, so you probably don't need to feel too bad about owning that 40-foot Mia Dakimakura. Well, beyond the normal shame for owning a 40-foot Mia Dakimakura. Pappy acts more childish than Mia, mostly due to her having brain damage that this is the equivalent of cheap Chinese RAM upgrades, that, in practice, flushes her memory every 3 steps. She turns up in the 2nd episode where she carries MC off and demands ice cream. This almost gets her arrested, as monster girls are not allowed out without their host family present. She did actually have a host family, but walked off and forgot they existed. Luckily, they are saved by Miss Smith, who pawns her off onto the MC. Why she's even in the exchange families to begin with is questionable, given that she's the daughter of the chief of police, but I digress. Our 3rd girl is another who's been in legend for millennia, a centaur. Hell, even respected folk singers have made songs about boning centaurs. It's practically mundane. Her name is Sarah. And I hope you like tits, because damn, that's a lot of tit. It barely fits in the screen. Hey Sarah, watch the lens! Her stick is that she wants to be a knight, and runs around LARPing as one, complete with fake swords she bought at an anime convention. You may notice she resembles Darkness from Konosuba, and it's not an inaccurate comparison, as Sarah's attempts at being a knight consist of her getting disarmed, crashing, and having to be saved from her own sword by the MC. All that really separates her from Darkness is that Sarah is probably not getting off on her own failure, and about 800 pounds of horse ass. Next is Mero the Mermaid. Not much to say about her, she's pretty low tier, all things considered. She's obsessed with the Little Mermaid, that being the original version where she fucking dies at the end, not the Disney version. So obsessed in fact that she can no longer form healthy relationships, and instead just lusts after tragedy, such as her dying horribly and leaving a bereft spouse, or literal cuckoldry. She also cannot walk on land, and produces a slime to keep her moist when out of water. So if you like the smell of tuna and the idea of a girl who gets aroused at the thought of one or both of you dying, then Mero is the girl for you. The only reason to get a mermaid is that they install a pool in your house for free. Let's move on. Rejoice, patricians, as we are now entering best girl territory. Our first candidate is Sue the Slime. While possibly a government bioweapon and occasionally quite rapey when dehydrated, she is overall quite a sweet girl. She is fairly low maintenance, primarily subsisting on water, but will happily dispose of anything you feel like throwing into her, thus making her the only being capable of consuming Mia's dreadful cooking. Her personality also scales with diet. Given refined mineral water, she'll become smarter. Feed her toxic waste and she'll become a 2009 Call of Duty lobby.
What do you want me to use?
She isn't pawned off on the MC by Smith like the previous, so much as just turns up one day and starts playing Wii tennis with Pappy, who demands they keep her new friend. And what Pappy wants, Pappy gets because she's adorable. Our final for the main cast, damn we still got the Mon Squad and Minor Girls to get through, is Nara. Given Tenshi's lore, she's pretty much guaranteed the best girls slot. She's not my personal favourite, as Pappy already owns that along with half my liquid assets, but Nara certainly deserves best girl. Unlike most of the others who require MC to take care of them, Nara is entirely capable of being self-sufficient, and by her introduction has already kidnapped her host, don't worry about it, he had it coming, and set flashbang traps around her hideout. Did I mention she's also a silver-haired dominatrix as well? Well, it turns out Spider Silk is really quite versatile. Also works for making hammocks, as well as bondage. Sarah is not too happy about her arrival, however. Most likely as she is now trumped on having the widest ass of the group. Not that there is much she can do about this, as Nara has mastered the Shungoku Kinku. In fact, her power extends so far that she actually causes the MC to develop a whole third personality trait, a leg fetish, admittedly good taste. While this is ongoing, the city is being raided by a wave of crime from monsters, as the police cannot stop them with any sort of force, so can only ask them nicely to stop. This of course does not work, and causes the creation of the MON squad. As they consist of monsters themselves, the no human or monster violence rule does not apply, as also do rules about property damage or police brutality. They also give us 4 more girls to discuss. 5 if you count Smith, but if you're going after the human in the Monstergirl harem show, you are thoroughly in the wrong neighbourhood. In no particular order, the Mon Squad is made up of Tio, the ogre, an honest and sweet girl. Despite her size, she's quite gentle, if a little clumsy. On the other hand, we have Zombina. Look, do I really need to tell you what type of girl she is? They didn't even try with her name. She's a hot-blooded tomboy type who dual-wields machine pistols. She also is only a matter of time before proving the Ship of Theseus question one way or the other. Being a zombie, her parts are not in the best condition. A fact not helped by the fact that she can't sew to save her life, semi-literally, and bits keep dropping off. Given her look, we can safely say that at least some of her parts are not original, but I can't say I blame her. If your ass cheek drops off while you're on the toilet, why bother fishing it out, when you can just drop by the local graveyard and pick up a new one? If Tio is your strength, Zombina is your run and gun, Doppel is your stealth/infiltration, again almost as badly named as Zombina. Doppel is a doppelganger, and as such can transform into any shape she wishes. There is no guarantee that this is even her real form. However, if it is, she could at least put some clothes on. You're not immune to public decency laws, little miss. Finally, there's Manaco. Okay, you're really just going to start giving them actual names now? Okay. Manaco is a Cyclops, or as they call her, a Mono-Eye. Wait a sec. She is the sniper of the group, and given her gigantic eye, it's stated that she can see over 2 kilometers with great detail. I'll admit I got curious, so I did some maths, given her height of 148 centimeters. Oh, she's tiny. And this piece of official art, we can gauge that the size of her iris is 5.2 centimeters, and her pupil is 1.5 centimeters. However, given that a human pupil can expand up to 2/3 the size of the iris, let's take her max, plug that into this bastard, and we get her angular resolution at 1.75 e to the minus 4, or 17 times better than that of a human. However, this scales with tan, so at 2 kilometers, tan theta over 2 times distance of 2 kilometers means she would be able to tell the difference between objects 17 millimeters apart. To put that into perspective, to have 20/20 vision, you need to be able to tell objects 1.75 millimeters apart at 20 feet, or 6 meters. Unfortunately, we can't turn the equation around due to the repeaty boys, so we have to solve it using an iterative method, which is the fancy mathematical term for guessing. At 200 meters, we get 1.76 millimeters, giving her a total of 20 0.03 vision, and absolutely no depth perception. They all also like to crash at the MC's house, because it's a harem and we don't really need excuses to surround the MC with more girls. Okay, let's pick up the pace. We've got Polt the furry, Kobold. She runs a gym and has 6 nipples, you probably didn't want to know that last part. We've got Draco the dragon newt, who's an incel. Lilith, the lesser demon, who's basically just Nara's plaything, and finally Lala. Also key, I forgot about her when writing this. Lala is actually a full character in her own right, but doesn't actually show up in the series until basically the end. Being a Dullahan, she is shrouded in death, or possibly just the fumes from Mia's atrocious cooking, who knows. She also tends to lose her head, in about 3 different senses of the word, most notably that it detaches, and also that she sometimes misplaces it. She is also one of the first girls to actually meet the MC, appearing by him in one of the many times Mia or Sarah nearly kills him. She is also prime bully bait for all the other girls. That's all the girls introduced, let's talk about the plot. Everyday Life with Monstergirls covers the MC's Everyday Life with Monstergirls. This is truly the insightful commentary you come to my channel for. That is a little harsh, there are actual plot lines that occasionally cover an entire episode, but these are mostly self-contained, such as MC is sick episode, or someone is putting chemicals in the water that turn the frickin' dryads gay, huge episode. The only real plot that lasts longer is when the MC starts getting death threats, that turn out not to be death threats so much as warnings from Lala about why you should never stand behind a horse. There is also 2 OVAs. Well, there's actually like 50, but most of them are less than a minute long. There are 2 full OVAs. The first being A Day at Polt's Gym, and the second being a bit more plot heavy, dealing with the story of Rhaenyra's previous host family, who sold her. It also has a second half dedicated to the gang trying out bras, but half an episode of actual character development is big for this show. The music used in the show is a fairly standard fare, not much stands out with the exception of the show's ending and one-time opening theme, sung by the Mon Squad. The main girls also all have character songs that are not included in the show per se, but can easily be found around the internet. I have listened to Pappy Dance more times than I care to admit. But now for the most important part, Best Girl Rankings. And starting us off in dead last place is of course, Mero! We do not support stanky fish with unhealthy obsessions with children's stories. Moving slightly up, we get Sarah. Tries to act all noble, but usually just makes things worse, and hurts those around her. Also is not capable of actually wiping her own ass. Ooh, low tier. Just above her is Zombina. Honestly bro tier, but decaying flesh is a bit of a deal breaker. Would hang out with. Above her is Doppel, along with Draco, Lilith, and Key. I would probably have put some of them higher or lower, but that would be dependent on me actually remembering anything about them. Next up is Smith, Lala, and Manaco. All fine, not my taste. Manaco does get bonus points for her pro no-scopes with the Call of Duty intervention. Above them is Polt. Call me a furry and she gets dropped next to Mero, you have been warned. Getting into higher tiers is Tio. I ain't usually into bigger girls, and Tio honestly really isn't my taste, but she's the most genuine and sweet of the lot, so deserves a high tier spot. Next up is Mia. Honestly doesn't deserve such a high spot, but MGQ may be more sympathetic towards Lamias, and she gets bonus points for being poster girl of the series. In third place is Sue. You already know this, she's a lot of people's best girl, but only takes third for mine. In second, Rhaenyra. Tenchi's Law pretty much guaranteed her at least top 3, but being an RRR bondage spider gets her up to at least 2. And that only leaves in first, Pappy. Boo all you want, it's my channel. Am I playing favourites? Am I biased given that the mascot is Harpy? Yes, and there's nothing you can do about it. I know I said myself that Rhaenyra probably deserves it, and that's true, she does. Not changing the list though. Leave your own picks for best girl in the comments. Unless it's Cuckfish, in which case please do not interact with me, the door is that way. If you do plan to watch it, please keep in mind that there are a couple of different versions, namely the TV and Blu-ray versions. So for the full experience, get the Blu-ray versions. Hence why I've also blurred out some of this video. Uncensored version on my BitChute, link below. There is also a dub, but it is awful.
Hey, I am gonna punch you right in the... What did you say? You wanted fun?
Jesus Christ. Well, would you look at that, it's the end of our Monstergirl Monday. Get subscribed for more. Due to recent changes in circumstance, I've had a lot more time to make these recently. I've even got a plan for what will be coming next. I'm hoping to get at least one more out before the end of the year, probably an ode to Flash. Then maybe Mass Effect 2 in January, we'll see.